Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kim Jacobs Show. We are here with Felicia Hayes today, and we're going to be talking about how to break the bonds of childhood depression. Welcome, Felicia.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you for being here with your beautiful, bright smile. And I
Oh,
know we're going
thanks.
to learn so much from you today.
Yes, press the prayer. Yes,
Yes.
education and knowledge is key. So,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So we're going to get started. Listen, everybody, grab your virtual seats. Make sure you tag friends. Any people that have children, grab them, tell them to get into the studio audience, grab their virtual seats because we're going to learn a lot of information today. So go ahead and tell people we're talking about breaking the bonds of childhood depression. So let's go ahead and kick this episode off. Get your questions ready, and she can hopefully answer as many of them as possible throughout this hour. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Kim Jacobs Show. We're going to get started, everyone. Hi, I'm Kim Jacobs, the Balance Doctor. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Kim Jacobs Show. Be sure to subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show right on YouTube. Turn on your notification bell to all so you never miss a beat. And guess what? Every time you watch, you're going to receive a real, relevant, and relatable guest that's going to share with you a piece of the puzzle on this journey called life that will help you be able to manage just a little bit smoother. At the end of the day, the Kim Jacobs Show goal is to be able to provide balance to the world, one household at a time.
Kim Jacobs Show. You're watching Kim Jacobs Show.
All right, everyone, it is the Kim Jacobs Show, and we are here with Felicia Hayes. We're going to be talking to her today about how to break the bonds of childhood depression. We're going to actually be having multiple guests coming on in the future here to talk about this very important topic, and we'll be sharing statistics with you as well. But Felicia Hayes is a mother of 3 adult children, all girls, and we're women now. And she's also the grandmother of 3 grandbabies, and one is on the way. So 4, because once a baby's born, that baby is there. So anyway, she has 4 grandbabies. She's a social worker and has been a social worker for 27 years and really focused specifically in the juvenile detention and correction area for 8 years. Welcome, Felicia Hayes.
thank you. I'm so honored and blessed to be here.
Well, equally, we are blessed to have you. So let's talk right as quickly as possible. I usually like go back into your backstory, and let me go back for a second. Felicia, growing up, what kind of prompted you to even be interested in this particular field of interest? Was it some things going on in your own life, or tell us what happened?
Yes, a lot of personal things going on. I have always had the desire to help people, encourage people, and empower people. I have a brother who is autistic, and that kind of prompted me to want to help serve in a social service capacity.
Okay.
And also, I have my own disability. I'm hearing impaired, and there weren't a lot of services back in the 70s to help with, autism because it wasn't even considered autism at that time. It was considered mental retardation, which we do not use anymore. Thank God. And then, just as I was in school, I actually loved helping my peers. Whenever they had a problem, I would try to help them come up with solutions on whatever crisis they may be facing or whatever minor problem they had. So yeah, that's kind of what.
So you were helping people even at a young age with whatever issues they were feeling. They would come to you and get advice.
Yes.
And you would connect them to different resources, or what would happen?
Oh no! When I was young, I would I would make suggestions that I thought was best based off of the wise wise wisdom that I received from my family.
Okay.
The elders in my family, really.
Wow. Okay. So then you ended up with your own disability situation with being hearing impaired, and then your brother having autism, and you giving the advice to so many other people at a young age. So you were like a leader as a young person.
Yes, I tried to be.
And you ended up coming into the knowledge of the truth that this is what you should be doing. So how did
Yes.
you end up getting into this field 27 years ago?
Um, well, I had my first child at 18, so I wanted to um, be able to prepare a better life for her at that time. So it prompted me to go to college, and because I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't understand what the field was called.
Right.
At that time, I had no knowledge that social work is actually helping people, empowering people, and being an advocate for those who can't speak for themselves. And I was like, oh, this is so me.
Mm.
So back in 1990s, that's where got an associate's degree at that time, and then later pursued into 2 master's degrees. So that's where I'm at now.
Well, so
So
glad to have you here today.
thank you.
Why is this such an important topic? Because it's very necessary, and a lot of people have reached out to ask that we have this on this show, on the Kim Jacobs Show.
Right. The reason for me, I often think of the quote from Frederick Douglass: "It is easier to repair, it's easier to build strong children than repair a broken man."
Mm.
At the time, in the 70s, mental health was not a thing. In the 80s, mental health wasn't a thing. In the late 90s, that's when it started becoming a recognition of, oh, maybe we need to pay attention to mental health,
Right.
especially in children. Mental health has a stigma where we're embarrassed, where we have shame or guilt, but it really is a medical condition in the mental. It's actually a chemical imbalance in the brain.
Okay.
Um, and so many people would, most people don't want to think about what's wrong with them. And it's not
Right.
what's wrong with you, it's what you feel. It's what your brain neurotransmitters connect to.
Right.
Um, and it's also important because with children, we're seeing an increase in
Mhm.
childhood depression. I don't know if it's because it's more recognition now, or if it's um, the
That's
children are facing issues that we didn't have to face as we were growing up.
right. So I'm
There's a
looking here at
lot.
some of the statistics, and I see, Shannon, thank you so much for putting these back in the back office. It says 1 in 6 people are age 10 to 19 years old that deal with childhood depression. And
Mhm.
another thing says mental health conditions account for 16% of the global burden of disease and injury of people ages 10 to 19. Half of all mental health conditions start by 14 years of age, but most cases are undetected and untreated. Wow. And it's depression is one of the leading causes of illness and disability amongst adolescents. And suicide is the third leading cause of death in ages 15 to 19 years old. So this is coming from the World Health Organization as as a source that we're documenting here. This is astounding.
It is. It
This is
is.
overwhelming, and especially being a mom of 5 children myself, I have I have 4 living children here on this earth, and they go through different, varying things that
Mhm.
they deal with depending upon what phase they're in their lives. And
Right.
so we're always talking about our mental health and how to go about
Mhm.
adjusting to what the situation is that we're facing or dealing with at that particular time. But I don't look at it as depression per se, but
Mhm.
it could be depression. So how do you
It could be.
identify what is depression from a parent perspective? So parents get this help.
Some of the things that, well, first we have to recognize depression can hit anyone at any time.
Yes.
It's the time span that matters. There's there could be a situational depression where we lose a loved one and we get depressed for that, for whatever time frame that grief period is for us. But
Okay.
with depression, it extends past that, the normal functioning. Like you may not be able to concentrate on the things you need to concentrate on. You
Yeah.
may not be able to focus. Now in children, it looks a little different.
Yes.
Um,
Let's talk about that. Yeah,
yeah,
I
it
definitely
looks
have
a little
experienced
different.
I've experienced some depression then, and based on what you're saying and what's happened in my own life as an adult.
Mhm.
So, and I don't claim it as, oh, I'm depressed, but it's like okay, I'm dealing with this a little bit longer than what I need to. So I would go and get counseling for it.
Yes.
But I'm a big believer that counseling is necessary and it's a great maintenance tool. It's not anything to be ashamed of at all. It's
Yeah,
something you go get the help you need for whatever you're dealing with.
and I try to help people think of it as a medical. If you're physically sick, you go to a doctor.
That's
It's
it.
the same thing. If you're, if mentally, if and you're not coping emotionally, go see a therapist.
Right.
That's what we're here for.
When you don't need it anymore, you go on about your business. I mean, that's what I do, but
Right,
I think
right,
that helps me out of depression, actually, because I go get the help I need and I'm like, bye bye, I'm back in business
right,
now.
right.
Okay, so talk to us about some things regarding childhood depression. What can we look
Okay, so that may look like acting out, sudden changes in behavior. Um, there's a stigma that's attached. Oh, if you're depressed, you're sad, you're crying all the time. That can be a sign, but a lot of depressed people are happy. You wouldn't
for?
know it because it's that mask that they hide behind the facade. They have to function.
Mm,
Um, and in functioning, they're pushing through, but they are very depression is very, very difficult to spot, because there's so many factors that can go into it. It
wow.
Yes.
You said
Some of
they're happy. That threw me off because I didn't realize that. So,
Yeah, yes. A lot of people who suffer from depression, kids, elderly, any age, if overly, they will. I don't want to say pretend. They will function as a happy person. And with children, what you need to watch out for are things such as lack of interest or trying to overachieve. Sometimes that can be a sign of depression. Look, driving for that perfectionism. Um, and if they talk about suicide or talk about death, you might want to go into that a little further and say, well, what do you mean? Because they need to understand, wait a minute, we're talking about death. Are you
right.
planning on hurting yourself? Are you planning, all as a social worker, some of the key things that we always look for, well, ask a person, have you ever thought about suicide?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you'll ask about suicidal gestures. And sometimes suicidal gestures are just things such as, um, you know, taking risky behavior, driving recklessly, jumping off bridges, things like that. And also, we assess for pattern, because if it becomes a pattern, we're looking to see, okay, maybe this person's really trying to harm themselves, and we ask if they have a plan. Um,
Wow.
and
Well,
if they come up with a plan, and if they say they have a plan, they have the ideations, they have all these factors, then we're going to look to seek to get them help immediately. And a lot of kids are not going to say, hey, yeah, I'm feeling suicidal. I have not experienced that. It's more of the, you know, okay, so how are you feeling today? What's going on? I'm very sad. Okay, what do you want to do? What are you doing about your sadness? Well, I'm thinking about, you know, maybe taking some pills or doing something alcohol related to ease that pain. You might want to start digging more. Increased substance use, increased isolation, overachieving things. Those are some of the behaviors you want to look for um,
wow.
in children. Uh, it's behavior at school is a huge indicator. So if your child is suddenly having behavior problems, you might
Mhm.
want to check and see if there's depression. Um, and if your child is, just, and when I say behavior problems, it could be extreme, it could be minor.
Mhm.
If your child never gotten in trouble at school and things start happening, you have to pay attention to that, because depression goes across all factors, as far as it could be emotional, behavioral, or physical. Some
Wow.
people don't think about that. So if your child is constantly sick, saying I have a stomach ache and there's nothing medically wrong with them,
Right.
you might want to check and see if that's depression. Um,
Okay, this is some good stuff that, I mean, we're putting all, thank you so much. We're putting all of the different things to look for, and we'll go back and later pull them up as well. Everything that Felicia's saying to look for, we are actually putting that in the comment section. Thank you, Shannon. Let me go to a few of the studio audience comments and some questions that's coming in from them. Shalita says, hello, ladies.
Hello, Shalita.
Keisha said, great information.
Oh, thank you, Keisha.
My mommy says, good morning, Kim.
Oh, hi, mommy. I love it.
Okay. Carla says, good morning. This is a much needed as a child and as grown folks. Yes, Carla.
Thank you, Carla. Yes, yes.
Yes. Please make sure you all are tagging your friends and inviting them to be a part of this very necessary discussion today, which we're talking about breaking the bond and the bondage of childhood depression. Okay. So I just have to pop this up again if you're just joining. Most depressed people are happy, according to Felicia Hayes. This is very important. Okay, let's see. That was me as a child, but no one knew. Carla said,
Oh, thank you for sharing, Carla. Oh.
yeah, we appreciate your transparency. Any of you in the studio audience, let me also, I'm just going to pop this in here too. If you'd like to come on to today's episode and actually pop on the screen directly, you don't have to worry about how cute you look. The point is, if you want to get up here and you want to talk to Felicia directly, here's the link for you to be able to do so. We'll pull you right in and you'll be able to talk to her in a face-to-face manner, okay? Let me go to a few more studio audience comments. Okay. Mother Patricia Lofton said, good morning, ladies. God bless you.
Good morning, Miss Patricia. Thank you.
This is a very, very necessary topic here. Courtney, my brother, says, good morning, ladies. Very interesting and a trending topic. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for this information, Lori says.
Lori's my distant cousin.
Oh, sounds like you know Lori. You like,
no, I don't know Lori, but hey, we just gonna claim her.
You said, it's my family. She done showed up.
We gonna claim her.
Let's see. Okay. Keisha said, how does a child know to even put on a mask?
Okay. Good question. In my experience, the way that children learn how to put on a mask is toughness, especially in boys. Boys love to put on that front that I'm masculine, I can do this, there's nothing wrong with me,
Wow.
Boys don't usually talk about their emotions, they're more of their behavior. Girls will usually hide behind their appearance. So it's an unconscious effort when they're putting on their mask because it's a method of this coping. When you cope, think about it. When you have a bad morning before you go to work, you usually don't wear that when you go to work. What you'll do, you'll get yourself together, even though on the inside you're a wreck, and you do your best to put your face together, your hair together, your clothes together, and all of that, just to function through the day. And that's what children do. And sometimes people just know how to cope. And with kids, sometimes people think, oh, they can't really have that many problems. Well, they can. They're little people. Yes. They are literally little people. They have bad days. And, in watching my kids develop and grow and my grandkids and, just in my work, I noticed that sometimes I don't want to say brush off children, but we just minimize how they're feeling. Right. But they're little people. They can have a headache and not explain to you that they have a headache. They just know something's wrong and they act out behaviorally. So that's how that mask developed, because they're just coping through.
I'm so grateful that you said that, because as the balance doctor, I've really spent a lot of time with my children and find out from them how they're feeling, what they're dealing with. We have table topic discussions because it's like little conversation starters. At dinner, we'll just read one of the table starters, and I learned so much over the years from them and what
Yeah.
was happening in school, what was happening in their minds. Because I was like, that's your response to that question? Then I need to call that teacher or
Yeah,
whatever the case may be.
exactly.
And it was some great things that I learned too, but a lot of things that I also learned were things that we would have never discussed had we not had that time to officially talk it through. And then another thing I've done many times with my children, Felicia, is I have appointment times with them and we
Yes.
talk about
Yes.
specifically what they're dealing with privately. So then that way they're not feeling embarrassed amongst their other siblings. And
Mhm.
I never part my lips to say
Mhm.
what they're dealing with privately. And if I ever attempt to even remotely talk down that lane, they
Yeah.
look at me like, no, I know she's not about to reveal. And I'm like, I already said I would, so I don't.
Yeah, and you know what, Kim? Those are great points to help with finding out what's going on with your child. A lot of families don't think about those. That is the little simplistic things that you can do to aid in finding out what's going on with your baby. I like what you said because that is crucial. Those one-to-one moments, yet those table topics that you called them, because we did the family dinner. That's how we did ours. We
Right,
at dinner we would have our whatever discussion. We would, instead of asking how was your day, we would say what you do in your day,
right.
because how is
So
your
you
day?
get
You get that one
one word
syllable answer. Fine. No. So
right.
with that, and asking what went on in your day, it kind of opens them up a little more. We want to do some open-ended questions, you know, just to get more information and tap in on that. But I love what you said, but because that will be helpful for your audience as well.
Hmm.
So,
Well, I love everything that you're talking about here. Today we're talking about dealing with childhood depression and how we can break the bonds from childhood depression. So far what we've talked about is some of the why it's important. Why is
mhm,
this topic important? It's important because these are real people, whether they're little people or
yes,
older people. This topic is necessary because they are dealing with real situations that are real issues, whether it's in school, whether it's in the community, whether it's in their extracurricular activities. We have to find out what they're experiencing and why is consider making them feel the way they feel, which is a real feeling
yes.
versus just dismissing it. So I'm really glad that you're here today, Felicia.
Thank you.
What we're going to do is we're going to take a commercial break and then
Okay.
we're going to come back. Guys, make sure you all are typing your questions during the commercial break. Even just tag a friend, let some more people know that we're here talking about breaking the bonds of childhood depression with Felicia Hayes today. Listen, today's episode is sponsored by snowlegal.com. If you have any type of legal issues that you'd like to just run through to check with snowlegal.com, let them know that the Kim Jacobs Show did send you their way. Here's their
I'm
information.
attorney Kenneth D. Snow, and at the Snow Legal Group, justice is our job.
For more than 20 years, Attorney Snow has been fighting for justice and winning cases in the Carolinas by providing aggressive representation in criminal defense, domestic violence, family law, serious injury, and wrongful death. If you've been injured or lost a loved one in an accident, including tractor trailer or rideshare, you need the Snow Legal Group by your side, fighting for justice and fighting for you. Visit snowlegal.com. Call 704-358-0026 for a free virtual consultation. Located at 6827 Fairview Road, Suite D in South Park.
Absolutely. And also stay connected with the Kim Jacobs Show. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on your notifications. That way, every time we go live, every weekday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you already be connected and will receive an alert. So stay connected. And here are a few other ways to stay connected with the Kim Jacobs Show. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Kim Jacobs Show. And we have Felicia Hayes here with us talking about breaking the bonds of childhood depression. Okay, so Felicia, what are some tips that you can share with everyone watching today on what we can do to help any child that we see, regardless of whether it's our own personal child, or if we're getting a glimpse of it from someone that's in our church, in our community, in our schools, in our extracurricular activities, what in a ministry that we're managing, whatever. If we
Okay.
see these signs, what can we do to help those kids?
First thing is talking to the child, and seeing what their feelings are.
Okay.
Sometimes they will be resistant. Most of the time, I'm not going to say sometimes. Most of the time,
Yeah.
You'll get that pushback because, again, therapy is taboo. A lot of people do not want to face their mental disability. It's like I said, it's just like any physical. It all runs together. So, because sometimes it is difficult to, especially talk to a child. But if a child is open and willing, I would suggest that you talk to the parent if you're not the parent, because those are very sensitive boundaries too.
Okay, so
But
wait. So just so I make sure, especially when I have someone here on the Kim Jacobs Show, I want to make sure we're saying this in the order. Do you recommend that the parent, if I'm a community member and I see that I think that your child is experiencing signs of depression, do I need to, as a parent, as not the parent, but just a community member, go to the parent first and ask permission to talk to that child?
not really ask permission, but just kind of let the parent know, because we are sensitive about our kids.
Yeah, I don't
we
want
are very sensitive about our children,
yeah.
and
Like, don't take my kids without my permission.
so
And then I don't even know what you're putting into my child. I don't even know, what a
right,
person's intentions are.
right, and
And
as
I
a
have
community,
people, let me say this, Felicia. I have people that have officially been very close to me that I did trust with my children, 100%, thinking, oh, you got my whole best interest at heart. And then later find out that they don't have my best interest at heart. It was
exactly,
an agenda.
right,
So
right.
then it's like, oh, in that moment, now I feel like I failed everything miserably because now I'm exposing my children
Yeah,
to this craziness.
right, right, and it's hard, but as community leaders, social workers and teachers are usually the first ones to know. But social workers can't treat a child without parent permission or legal guardian permission.
Okay.
So that's that. Teachers will talk to the parents and make a referral. You can look at. I love Google. You can do a Google
I love
search,
Google too.
and you can do a search on Cleveland Clinic is great. WebMD is great as far as like looking for the symptoms. Make sure you listen to the child. Like I said, I mean, this is just crucial because some people just want to assume things are quote unquote wrong with the child, and there's just something going on. So what we need to do is talk to the child, find out what's going on, and if you see some of the symptoms, okay, talk to the parent, and then because it's not a mandate report for a child that's depressed. There's a mandate report if a person is suicidal. If you think this child is going to commit suicide, you need to reach out to someone immediately.
Okay.
Um, but approach the parent, or what I like to do is just do a community gathering. You just kind of bring everybody together and just try to teach them some things about that's this topic here. When you do community gatherings about a specific topic, it will draw the people out, and people will come to you when they need help. So, and another way that I would suggest is your doctor. Don't discount your medical doctor. Go in with a list. Or now that we have smartphone, put the list on your little smartphone,
Right.
of things that you are experiencing or your child is experiencing, and then your doctor can make an appropriate referral. So
That's good. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna go back, and because I think people now, everyone that's in the studio audience, if you have specific questions, go ahead and type them. Today we're talking about breaking the bond and the bondage of childhood depression. And so let's go through a couple of these. I'm gonna go all the way back because some people are just kind of joining, and you've said some pretty profound things already. So let's go back. If a child is acting out or there's changes in the behavior, you say do what?
I say, ask them what's going on.
Okay, ask the
Because
child.
because that could be a sign of depression, or it could be a sign of anxiety. Always, whenever there's an acting out behavior, don't yell at your child, because yelling at them is not going to bring it out. Have that one-on-one conversation, like you said, Kim. You kind of just sit there and you let them get it out.
Mhm.
That is crucial, because they're already facing, other stressors in their life. Their peers always have something to say. Teachers always have something to say. As parents, we always have something to say. So they're
Like,
getting all
no.
the, where, provide that space for your child to just be who they are, and remind them to be respectful. Because there are times when they want to get a little mouthy, like, hold on, no, this is a respectful space. I'm allow you to say what you need to say, but let you keep it respectful.
That's
So,
good. And
yes.
then also when you're talking about changes in behavior, and again, because my children have played sports or been in dance, acting, all kinds of different elements, I've seen it across the board, ranging
Mm-hmm.
from coaches that deal with them in dance, coaches that deal with them in sports,
Mm-hmm.
coaches that deal with them in acting, and you name it. And most of the coaches are extremely compassionate and loving and caring. So I'm an advocate of supporting coaches, by the way. Let's say, hey, all
Okay.
out there. But then I have observed, and it's not been my children's coaches, by the way, let me be clear, but I have observed opposing teams coaches, and I'm like, now see, that coach right there would make me want to go off, like
Right.
literally go off on them. Because I'll be like, come over here, coach, for a second. We need to have a one-on-one. You talking to my child? So some of the behaviors that I've witnessed coaches doing to other people's children, just because you have them on the court or on the field, it's you don't cross certain boundaries.
And that can cause depression in a child, especially if a parent is saying, "I want you to be this football player. I want you to be this basketball player," and then listen to your coach. That can cause depression. That can lead into depression, because the child is thinking, "I need to be able to succeed. I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to um, let people down." But they need a space to say,
I don't want to be talked to like this either.
"I don't want to be talked to like that or addressed
But
like
let me
that."
be clear, on the football field, some of the coaches, they're gonna be like, "Look here, your mama up there talking about it. I'm gonna tell you right now, let your mama keep running her mouth."
Right.
By all means, coaches, I'm not definitely causing any challenges for my children. Coach how you need to coach, but be mindful that how you coach impacts them for the rest of
Right.
their lives.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me move off of that subject. So you say, okay, what else did you say here? You say most depressed people are happy. So some of you that are just joining, I think that's an important point to reiterate again.
Yeah. Yes. As far, funny people, happy people usually are masking their depression. There's been studies on it. Again, you could do a wonderful Google search, and it will say, there are many articles that are published concerning this. We need, depressed people need that mask, and we need to recognize it. If we're really close to a person, we will be able to recognize the symptoms of depression, even if they put on their happy face.
That's
Uh,
good.
it kind of reminds me of the commercial where they have the little masks, and
Yeah, I have one
with
of
the
those where
smiley
I have a big,
face, and then they take it away, and that person is actually depressed. And that's how people feel. They have to
right.
hide. So, but they're happy to give you what they can.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like,
Yeah, that's exactly.
you're constantly like, hey, smiley face. But
Mhm.
really, you're like,
Exactly.
if you move
Even
the mask,
even in children. Yeah.
and that's not good. So I agree. But see, that's too when you realize that happiness, I can only speak for myself. My happiness is
Mhm.
not based on any other person in life.
Right.
My happiness is in my Lord and Savior. So for me,
Yes.
my happiness is not I'm not faking happy. How do I explain it? Because it's like I'm not going to come out into the public and be like, guess
No,
what happened
no,
today?
no. That would be socially inappropriate.
So I
And that's
can't
what
do
we're
that.
trained to do. Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Like I
you're
said.
trained by society not to
Mhm.
come out and just, spill all your tea, right?
Right. Exactly.
But as far as having a deep rooted happiness, my happiness is way beyond even me as a
Mhm.
person. My happiness is linked to my belief that this is just a temporary place that I'm passing through.
Right.
My happiness is not based on my spouse, my children, my mom, my brothers, my sister. No, my happiness is not based on my bestie. My happiness is based on my Lord and Savior. For me, I can only speak for Kim.
Right.
But
And
then,
that, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I didn't kind of start talking to him. Go ahead.
Well, no, and that then you bring up an important point. You have something grounded to bring your happiness, even though you may have those feelings of sadness,
Oh, dude.
anger, all of that. You have a foundation. Sometimes kids don't have that, especially if their family is not connected to any community events. If they're not in a church organization, or if they don't have family support, because there are a lot of children out here who don't have support system.
Yeah.
What they have is what they have. And so they wouldn't, and I get what you're saying, and I appreciate that, because yes, as an adult, we can say, okay, my foundation is connected to the Lord, or my foundation is connected to my religious belief, or my foundation is connected to my family, whatever it may be for them. They have that connection. Kids haven't developed that just yet to
Right.
understand what that looks like, and all they know is, okay, I want to make people laugh. I want to be happy,
Right.
because we're scolded, like you said, in society. We're kind of scolded if we're feeling a certain way. And
Right.
I'm not saying we need to go ahead and put our bed your tea out there like that. But you know, find you someone that you can trust, and and try to build that foundation. Whether that may be spiritual.
Mhm.
For me, I'm like you. God is the head of my life.
Right.
Um,
But for those
and
that God is not the head of their life, or even if God is the head of their life, but they're still struggling to figure out how to be connected and really trust in what God is saying for their lives,
yeah,
what can they do?
Yeah, for children or as adults?
Okay, so let's talk
Because for
about the
children,
children since we're talking
okay,
about breaking the bondage.
okay, for children, it's about getting them connected to the pastor, elders, deacons. A lot of church organizations have um, members that experience some of the things that you're going through. Um, I would strongly suggest connecting to your community.
Well, let me interrupt for 1 second.
Okay.
Clint says, "Say it, Felicia." Now, church folks also need to be encouraged to seek mental health treatment too. So at some
Yeah.
point, carry on with the point you're making, but go back and address that too. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So we will. Kids don't know what a foundation looks like. They
Right.
just don't. They just know that, hey, I trust my mom,
Yes.
or whoever it may be. All kids have some type of adult role model, whether
Mhm.
it be positive or negative. They have one. So their foundation will be built on that role model.
Mm.
So to go to Kaylin's point,
So
yes,
before you go to
okay,
Kaylin's point, you're saying if we recognize that whether the child is showing symptoms of depression or not,
right,
just give them the opportunity to be connected to their spiritual leaders, to be
hmm
connected to community leaders that are positive, that have a good
hmm
reputation and have a proven track record of already wanting to help, and
yes,
kind of keeping them plugged in. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
yes, keeping them plug in,
So
plug
that's
it.
before they even exude or exhibit symptoms of depression.
Well, they might already have them. I mean, we all have a bad day. We all have a day where we're sad.
Okay.
The
Okay.
what the most important thing is the timeline.
So
Yeah.
basically,
So
what I
if I'm
also
having
hear
a
you.
bad day, I know who I can go to. I know
Mhm.
where I can go. I can go in prayer. I can go to friends. I can go to family. I can go to my counselor. I can
Okay.
go wherever I need to go.
That's
Kids,
good.
who's that and what do they look like? So yeah,
That's the point. So you're
yeah,
saying we all have some signs of depression, whether adult or children.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's a mental health diagnosis. But yeah, we all experience a period of depression. Yes, we do.
So that's an important point too, Felicia, because I don't want people that are watching today's episode or that are talking to their children or to community children or whatever to for the child to feel like they're abnormal on an island by themselves. You're
Right.
saying we all have some level of things that we're dealing with, and that's okay. But it's like how much you embrace it or let it impact.
The timeline of it. If it, the DSM usually 2 weeks, then we need to start looking at some, getting an assessment and maybe seeking help.
Oh, okay. So you're
Usually
saying
2 weeks. Usually,
okay.
some people within 2 weeks like well, I mean, but just you can't really put a timeline on grief. So grief or depression, but that's what the DSM says, and that's the diagnostic statistic manual that we use to diagnose mental health conditions.
Mm.
But
So if it
I
goes longer than 2 weeks,
yeah, usually yeah,
that's important. I didn't get that in the beginning. You said
yeah.
timeline, but I didn't realize how long the timeline. So if it goes longer than 2 weeks, it becomes like this is something that is
We
going
might need to we
to,
might need to explore further, and it may, and you know what, you might come out of it in a month, but then you're past that 2 weeks period. But only you.
okay. But
You know
children
you.
don't know them that
Yeah,
way.
children don't know themselves, and so when just start looking at the patterns. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, especially in our own community. I mean, it's really, I mean, for me, I've experienced in the Black community, a lot of people are ashamed. It just, and it's heartbreaking to me because I really believed if we would seek treatment more, um, that we could build those stronger adults,
Right.
especially as kids. I mean, because there's nothing that's going to be perfect. And I think that, especially in this world with the glamour, kids see perfection all the time,
Mhm.
all the time. And then that perfection creates an image, an expectation.
Mhm.
And I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to be, but we can't. As people, we can't.
And that's why I
So,
think it's so important for everyone to express that we are all human beings.
yeah,
So none of us are perfect at
right,
all.
right.
So we all gonna have flaws. We're all gonna have
Hmm.
shortcomings. We're all gonna have things that are things that we're like, dog, I didn't do that right.
Hmm.
There's so many things that I haven't done right in my life,
Right,
but I believe that God has guided me in a direction to constantly strive to be a better version of myself, you know?
right,
And so
right.
I think that maybe parents and community members and leaders in the church and everywhere, if we not that we have to walk, I don't believe that we should be walking around like I'm not doing right. I'm not no, I
Right.
think
No.
that in Christ we can be good examples
Right.
too. So I don't
Right.
feel like I have to walk around humdrum and the weight of the world is on my shoulder so that I can make a child feel like that they can make it because then they
Hmm.
can see me being in this weak, vulnerable mode. I think
Hmm.
that should also be a good example of what God created me to be and inspire other people to achieve whatever greatness He's put in them. Is that
Right.
is that
Yeah.
true or no?
Yeah. I agree with that because I'm not saying that you have to be completely vulnerable and spill all your tea, but you can say, when I was a child, I had this experience. It's kind of close to yours because
Oh,
everybody experiences things differently. We can all look at one situation and come back with different thought processes and how we're going to deal with it.
oh yeah.
So, if a child can understand that, oh, okay, this is how Miss So and so dealt with this situation. Okay, well, I'm going to take this little piece right here of how she says she made it through every day with prayer, or she made it through every day with affirmations and
Right.
things like that. So, um, babies are lost. who don't have the support. I mean, I've seen it every day, and I see it every day in my work.
Mm.
And it's because they don't have that support system. And you will be amazed who will become someone's support system. When I was a probation officer, I never would have thought I would be a support person for my
Wow.
probationers, but they would call me, and I would schedule meetings just so they could just come in and talk. Nothing that had to do with their probation conditions, but just so they can come in and talk.
That's cool.
So
You're sharing some great information. Oh my goodness, this is so
thank
great
you.
information.
Thank you.
A great conversation that we're having with Felicia Hayes. You can email her flh.serenity.footprints@gmail.com, and she will respond to your email. So if you have specific questions, or you know that you're dealing with something with your own children or with community member children, then make sure you email her and get some insight from her. h.serenity.footprints@gmail.com. Let's go to a few more studio audience comments and questions. Okay, yeah, let's go to Kaylin. Kaylin,
Okay.
about that.
Yes, yes. Church folks also do need to be encouraged to seek mental health treatment, because mental health is everywhere. It's just not, people that you see in the streets, homeless.
That's right.
Mental health is everywhere, and it can cross those boundaries of leadership, church people. It is nobody is exempt from having any type of mental health
No.
diagnosis and conditions. Again, please don't think of it as a stigma. We all need help, and sometimes, with the mental health that I've seen in some of the churches, leadership may give the wrong advice because they're not aware of the clinical or the counseling part that really goes into it, as such as a social worker. And that's part of why Serenity Footprints came into existence, because I'm a woman of God and I'm a social worker. I am spiritually led, but I'm also professionally led to do what I need to do for my person.
I love that. And how
So
important is that? Because I know, like, when we've given advice to people as a pastor or pastor's wife situation, we're not counselors for you in that regard. We're spiritual counselors from the perspective of saying this is what we think would work well biblically, because we have that as our blueprint. I'm pointing to some of my Bibles. We have that as our blueprint, because I always have
always have the word with you. But yeah,
right nearby.
But and that is very important, because we are biblically, yes, we have what we should do, and that is our guide, if you will.
Right. For me, it is. When we talk from that perspective,
if a person has a mental imbalance chemically, I love the Bible, but it really doesn't address what we could do to address that, to actually, okay, this is some cognitive-based therapy that we're going to use to help change some of your behaviors.
Okay, wait. Let me tell you my thought on that too, because this is my own show. Okay. My thought is that God actually creates the social workers like you, the physicians, and other people, and He's gifted us with different skill sets to be able to use wisdom to be able to train other people in that area of expertise. So I do believe that in that Word of God.
Yeah, that yes. Okay, I was unclear, but we, as social workers, we are trained to do that. He put the gift in us, but we are trained educationally to go through the steps. We need all the support we can get. My whole foundation is spiritual.
Right, I understand.
It is. So yeah.
So yes, without the let me go on, because I'll be like, without God giving you
with God, all things are possible. I agree.
Yeah, without Him being that whole understanding and training and mental resolve would just not be there. But we're gonna keep it going. So say it, Felicia. Yes, church people do need help as well. Let's go to Courtney. Many kids and adults do not have that foundation, and you talked about that. Yes, so true. Most depressed people hide behind makeup and masks.
Yes.
That's good feedback, Shalita. Let's see. As a grandmother, I noticed some things in my grandchild, but the parent refuses to agree. Oh my
Mm,
gosh, talk about that.
mm. Okay, what do you do? Um, what I wish this was more of a dialogue, because what I would say to Lori is, what methods have you used to approach, your, I don't know if it's your son or your daughter, your
That's good.
child, um, to bring this to their awareness. Like I said before, parents don't parents are sensitive about their kids.
Yes.
Very sensitive about their children. And in that sensitivity, we do, like, they refuse to agree.
Mhm.
Um
And
Sometimes,
we'll even say, let me raise my child.
right, exactly.
That's not good
Exactly.
either.
Yeah. So, some of the things that you could do, just maybe mention what you've noticed, what you're seeing. Um and you can do your own Google search, because as far as CDC, the um, Center for Disease and Control,
Mhm.
they can give you some tip points on how to approach
That's good.
um, people when it comes to sensitive topics like this. And just have that discussion with your child. They may not be open. Like I said, I know I was sensitive about my kids. I didn't want anybody telling me anything. And me being a social worker, I was like, look, I already know. I mean, because I take time with my kids, but there have been many incidents when a teacher had brought things to my attention. There have
Good.
been many incidents where other people have brought things to my attention that I didn't see.
Hmm.
Um, so, Lori, I would suggest that maybe write it down first and get your sources together. Oh, okay. You talked with them on several occasions. Okay. Um is it that, do you feel like they're in denial? Because a lot of parents will go into denial.
Like what
And
specifically, Lori, that you may feel comfortable enough sharing, or you may want to pop on the screen right quick, but definitely give a little more detail as far as what was their response when you actually talked to them on several occasions. Did they say, get away, I got this? Did they say that's not happening with my child? Are they in denial? Give a little bit more detail, and Felicia probably could address it a little more specifically. Somebody else said, generational curses of depression is the number one problem in churches, according to Jackie Spencer. He's been a previous guest as well, and he deals with epilepsy, and has had some grand
Mhm.
epileptic seizures. And anyway, he says that you cannot camouflage depression with the word. God put doctors in place to help. The deliverance is through them.
Mhm.
So he's saying that the deliverance is through the doctors and through the social workers and different people. That's what his statement is.
Okay. So, thank you for that. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Yolanda said, great point, Minister Felicia. We are equipped.
Thank you, Minister Yolanda.
All right. Any other comments or questions? I want to make sure I don't leave anyone out, but these have been some really, yeah, some very thought-provoking things. Now, what would happen? What are some of the long-term impacts if childhood depression goes untreated? Because there
Okay.
are adults now walking around with
Yeah.
things that stem from childhood, Felicia.
Yes, there is. Some of the consequences are that you can have relationship problems,
Mhm.
whether that's with your spouse, whether that's with friends, whether any relationship. It can cause some stress because you don't know
Right.
how to deal with what was going on in your childhood. Reoccurrent depression episodes can happen. It can lead into more depressive diagnosis, such as major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, things like that.
Wow.
Um, and it can also lead to actual physical problems, such as cognitive decline, where your brain doesn't function like it should because your brain is missing that chemical that
Wow.
connects your neurotransmitters and things like that. Diabetes, chronic pain, migraines,
It's so many things.
It's so many things that can it. So if as a child, if treatment is best when it's done early in any situation.
And when you say treatment, what does
Treat,
treatment look like for someone
treatment
that's dealing with childhood depression?
treatment. There's a variety of treatments. There is cognitive based therapy. There is what's called trauma informed therapy, because depression can come out of a traumatic event. And most people know it's a PTSD. Um, so we can focus on those type of
Say it one more time.
cognitive behavior therapies and medication.
Okay.
I know a lot of people don't like taking medication, but it helps connect those. The medication, as if you have, like when you have, let's say, a cold, you take cold medicine to feel better. So you can take, the antidepressants, and your doctor will work that out. He
So
will.
just getting them to a doctor if they are exuding symptoms of depression, and you as a parent recognize this, getting them to their
Medical doctor first.
a medical doctor first.
Yes, because we want to rule out other medical conditions, because you might be depressed because of, you might have a chronic pain, but that chronic pain is treatable.
Oh, I get it.
So it won't, yeah. And then medical
That is
doctor,
so good.
yeah. So if a
You have
medical
to get to
doctor,
the root cause of what's happening and what's causing your depression, and it could
yes,
be easily, possibly, depending upon talking to the proper people, reversed.
yeah.
And oh wow, okay, really
And
good.
yeah, your doctor will be able to rule out if it's okay. That rule out, any medical condition. And then if it is a mental health condition, then he will make the appropriate referral for you to counseling, medication, because we always want to start with our physician, always.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm putting that comment. Now, Lori said that they said that she's spoiled and wants attention, and she said that she continues to pray for them and with her to let her know that it's okay to share how she feels, meaning she prays with her grandchild.
Yeah, and you know what, Lori, you're doing the best that you can do as you.
Okay.
You are her grandmother. You might be her anchor person one day.
So don't overstep your bounds and be like, well, I'm
Yeah,
going
yeah, because as a parent, it's a struggle when your parents are stepping your boundaries that you set for your child. It can cause the tension between
right.
you and your child, and you don't want that. Just be there for your grandchild. That's the best you can do at this point.
Wow, I'm really grateful for everything that you're sharing. And let me go here to, yeah, we have another episode sponsor that I'd like for you all to be aware of as well. Let me take this information off. I don't want the text on here. Give me 1 second and I'll pull that up. He doesn't. Okay, there we go. Okay, so another episode sponsor that we have is let's see. I'm going to pull this right in the comment section so that way you can see it as well. I still get ready to put this. It's one piece that he doesn't want that. Okay, there we go. All right, sorry about that. So here we are. Today's episode sponsor is also sponsored by attorneys Charles Everidge, and he's with Everidge and Hunter Law Firm. That's hunter-everidge.com, hunter-everidge.com. They're located at 5457 Monroe Road in Charlotte, North Carolina, and their phone number is 704-377-9157. So if you're dealing with a personal injury case or Social Security or disability benefits, or you're dealing with something that is pertaining to injury on the workplace, worker compensation, you can reach out to them at 704-377-9157. I hope so far that you guys are getting some answers to your questions. I mean, Felicia, you've been providing some very detailed information. Let's take a quick commercial break and we'll close out today's episode with any final thoughts or questions that you may have. So get them ready because we have about 2 more minutes or so, okay? Go ahead and ask your questions, and Felicia, stay put. We're going to get people to chime in a few more minutes. Get your final thought ready too, Felicia.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
My father had 4 of his fingers amputated in a workplace accident. It was the first injured individual I represented, and I knew I had to win that case. When someone walks into my office and they've been injured, I know what they're going through. If you've been injured at work, work with Hunter and Everett. We've got the experience, so let us help you.
Yes, everyone, let Hunter and Everett help you with one of those claims that you're dealing with, and they will get some justice for you if you're in the Charlotte or Richmond area. Okay, so Felicia, let's go to our studio audience and see if there are any comments. Oh, I'd like to give a quick shout out too. Today I'm wearing paparazzi jewelry, a whole bunch of it. It's very cute and fulfilling, and I have some nice jewelry, and it's only like I think the jewelry is only like $5 or something. It's something inexpensive. It's really nice pieces. So Cheryl Lynn, I tagged her to tell her to put her information here, and Sherilyn Edwards is the person. You can check her out on Facebook. She has this paparazzi jewelry that I'm wearing today, and some other nice pieces as well. Okay, any studio audience comments? Great discussion and great topic, ladies. Thank you so much, Yolanda.
Thank you
For being in the studio audience today. And thank you to all of the studio audience members. You all just did a great job of asking questions and deep diving with Felicia to be able to get to the root cause of what's going on. And Felicia, one last question I wanted to ask you is, what advice can you give parents to kind of nip this whole thing in the bud even before depression becomes an issue with children?
Some of the things to look for is making sure that your child has a well-balanced life. Now, what does that look like?
Oh, good.
It looks different for everyone, but some key pointers are: make sure they get enough sleep, make sure they have a healthy diet, make sure they have a great support system. Depression can also be, inherited. It can be heredity. So be aware of your own symptoms if you have them. You may not have them, but be aware of everything that, because children live what they learn.
That's good. That's good.
You got to think about that. So, and some of the other things is being open to those hard conversations. You really don't. It's kind of hard when for me, a lot of hard topics for my kids were, really discussing, sexual identity, sexual behaviors, drug use.
We talk about all of that.
Oh, yeah, they are exposed to so many factors in this life, and sometimes it's uncomfortable for us as parents. Kids are being exposed to so much more at a higher rate than what we were as kids. Well, let me speak for myself as a 70s baby. But I've noticed, with the world of technology, they are being exposed to so much. You need to have those conversations as early as you can.
Yes.
That's the best thing, because the more informed your child is, the better they are equipped to handle some of these situations that will come up.
Yes, I agree. Everything that you've said is just so right on point. Some of the discussions that we have as family now are very intense.
Yes.
And like they ask very specific, directed questions. Mom, did you have sex before you were married? I'm like, okay, I knew they were going to be asking me this stuff, but you cannot lie or should not choose to lie to your children, because what your answer is can help to shape what the outcome is for their lives and why you did some of the things you did. It's okay to be transparent, in my opinion, I'm extremely transparent with my children on purpose. Yes. Because I want them to know what my rationale was. Do I regret what I did? Do you want to make the same decision? Whatever the case may be.
But you're breaking generational curses when you do that as well too. So keep that in mind. That I think that's very important for people to understand. I mean, I'm not saying expose everything, but there's some things that you can be transparent with your children about so they can learn.
That's right.
And break those curses. because there are so many curses that happen because of secrets.
That's
Because
right.
people's keeping things away from their kids, and the kids don't know.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. This is just, I can only speak again for myself. I can't speak for anybody else. But anything that I have kept a secret and my children later found out, I was like, some things are not for me to tell somebody else's secrets. I can only tell my own secrets, but to go
Right.
around being like,
Exactly.
that's what? That's not for me to do,
Right. Exactly.
So you have to be mindful of what part of your story you're going to share that's not going to impact other people and their stories if they're not willing or ready for their stories to be told.
Right. Exactly.
So it's a lot of factors. But you have been, OMG. Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you. I'm very honored. Thank you. And
You had
touched.
a good experience being here on the Kim Jacobs
I
Show.
did. I really did.
Oh, thank you for coming on. Okay, so
Yeah.
flh.serenity.footprints@gmail.com. Make sure you stay connected with Felicia Hayes, social worker and minister of the gospel. And she's quite honored to be able to answer any questions, comments, concerns that you may have that you're personally dealing with your children. And I'd love to have you come back again anytime in the future.
I would love to.
So thank you. And
Thank
thank you
you.
all, studio audience, for being so engaged today. Make sure you subscribe to the Kim Jacobs Show. And if you're obviously interested in supporting the Kim Jacobs Show through any financial contribution, we always give you ways right in the comment sections of ways that you can support the show through your online contributions. It's greatly appreciated. It allows us to be able to do this on a daily basis and provide content like this, that's original programming here on the Kim Jacobs Show with great guests like Felicia Hayes. And tomorrow we have a group of authors that's going to be coming on, and they're going to be talking. We already had the authors come on before, but remember I told you it's 30 authors. So this is the second wave of authors that's going to be talking about My Walk Past Hell, resilient, transformational, unstoppable, life-changing. You're going to meet 6 more authors that are part of this new book, this collaborative project, My Walk Past Hell. And Dr. Yolanda Jerry is the main author, but she's going to be having each of these 6 people tell you a little bit about their stories on tomorrow here on the Kim Jacobs Show at 11 o'clock a.m. Then we have Thursday. Oh my goodness. Corinne's going to be telling us, we're making some kind of special bread on Thursday, so we're going to have a good time. And then Friday is Freestyle Friday right here on the Kim Jacobs Show. So we have a whole action-packed week lined up for you guys. Thank you, Felicia Hayes.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. You guys have a fantastic day. And hey, just drop a high five in the comments if you learned one point today that you just maybe didn't even know. Just put a 5 in the comments and let us know that you learned something. Felicia, go back to our Facebook page and answer any questions that people may go back later and ask. Okay.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
All right. Listen, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and close out by letting you know that you can go to kimjacobsconsulting.com if you're interested in creating your very own show from scratch, or if you're just looking to have help with creating some presentations virtually and you want to know how to do that, whether you're a professor or teacher or motivational speaker, or you may be all kinds of different entrepreneur and you want someone to help you with various platforms. It's an 8-week course that I offer, and you can go to kimjacobsconsulting.com to learn more. God bless you, and thank you for tuning in today. Hey everyone, I'm Kim Jacobs, and I'm so excited to go on this journey with you. You and I are going to have a great time as you go through this course on how to create your own online show from scratch. Everything that you need to know from A to Z, everything that I know anyway, I'm going to pour it into you. We're going to have a great time talking about what should your show even be called? Who's going to be your guest? How do you identify your target audience? How do you be able to get your studio audience engaged? What type of lighting should you use? All kinds of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the different platforms that you should use. We're going on this journey together, so go ahead and grab your virtual seats and let's get ready to rock and roll and have a great experience as you learn how to create your own online show from